Airspace is one of those topics that can trip up even the most enthusiastic new pilots. All those classifications, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, restricted zones, it can feel like trying to navigate an invisible maze in the sky. And the stakes are high. Misunderstanding airspace can lead to serious trouble with ATC or even a pilot deviation. But it's one thing to read about airspace in a textbook, and it's another thing entirely to actually understand it in a way you can apply it confidently in the cockpit. The first step to making airspace manageable for your students when teaching ground school is to bring it to life. Visual tools like ForeFlight and SkyVector are invaluable for turning abstract concepts into something they can actually see and understand. When teaching airspace, don't just describe the dimensions of Class Bravo, show it. For example, in ForeFlight, you can overlay Class Bravo, Charlie, Delta boundaries on a cross-country route. The students can see how these layers stack vertically, how they extend horizontally, and where the shelves begin and end. SkyVector is another excellent tool. It's free, and with just a few clicks, you can zoom in, highlight details, and annotate charts to make them easier to follow. These tools allow you to bridge the gap between theory and practice, helping students see the bigger picture and giving them a framework for understanding the airspace they'll be navigating. Of course, visualizing airspace is just part of the equation. To navigate it effectively, students need to remember the specific rules for each class. This is why we use memory aids. For instance, to recall weather minimums and cloud clearances, we have three 152s for Class Charlie, Delta, and Echo below 10,000 feet, which stands for 3 miles visibility, 1,000 feet above the clouds, 500 feet below the clouds, and 2,000 feet horizontal clearance from the clouds. We have 5111 for Class Echo above 10,000 feet. It stands for 5 miles visibility, 1,000 feet above, 1,000 feet below, and 1 mile horizontal from the clouds. Breaking it down this way makes it easier for students to recall the requirements when they're in the cockpit. Mnemonics like these stick because they simplify what would otherwise be overwhelming. To take this a step further, we can incorporate real-world scenarios. Let's plan a short flight from Clearwater Airport to Crystal River. Along the way, you'd need to navigate through Tampa's Class Bravo and transition into Class Gulf uncontrolled airspace. Using ForeFlight, we can show the exact route and highlight the airspace boundaries. Then we could ask, at what point do you need to contact ATC for Class Bravo clearance? What's the weather minimums for the airspace in each part of your route? How will you manage your altitude to stay clear of the shelves? These kinds of exercises bring airspace concepts into focus and help students develop sound judgment for their flights. We're not randomly quizzing students, we are helping them develop aeronautical decision-making skills that they'll use throughout their entire flying careers. There are real-world consequences for misunderstanding airspace. I once read about a VFR pilot who inadvertently flew into a presidential TFR. Within minutes, they were intercepted by F-16s. That's an extreme example, but the FAA doesn't take airspace violations lightly, and neither should we. When teaching, we can share stories like this, not to scare our students, but to remind them that careful planning and situational awareness are non-negotiable. So, in my opinion, the most effective way to teach airspace is to combine these three elements: visualization, memory aids, and scenarios. When we teach airspace this way, it starts becoming second nature for our students. That's when you know you've made an impact. What are your favorite techniques for teaching airspace? Share them in the comments. I'd love to hear what works for you. And if you're looking for tools and resources to make your ground instruction effortless, join my waitlist to get exclusive updates on our upcoming ground school tools. And remember, the skies aren't for those who just dream. They're for those who prepare. Let's get you there. See you in the next video.